Hello and welcome, everyone that is interested in the Fulbright in general, but particularly in the Study Research Award. I'm really glad that you took the time to meet here so that we could discuss the Study Research Award. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to really briefly talk about and point you in the direction of the basic eligibility criteria for the Fulbright. You've heard that before with the Fulbright group presentation program that we had on March 4th, and I talked about it a little bit at the ETA session too. So if you were there, then you're getting a third dose of that. But it's a really helpful thing to talk about from the beginning, just to make sure you don't want to go through lots of work and then realize, oh, am I not eligible here? But so I'm just going to very, very briefly talk about that. Then I'm going to define the Study Research Award a little bit more specifically. And in contrast, I'm going to say a few words about the ETA as well, because most people, when they hear about the Fulbright, hear about and think about that Study Research Award. But the English Teaching Assistant Award, or the ETA, actually is a really good fit for folks. And so I just want to reiterate, sort of define both of those. Then I'm going to just point out a few resources on our Baylor Fulbright site, but then also on the Fulbright website as well, and offer a few thoughts about some things to be thinking about here in the coming days, and so that's going to be most of my time talking here. But then I'm going to turn things over, and we'll have a Q&A session here. So what we can do, I'll actually probably just ask a few if folks have questions throughout the time. But then there also will be space at the end of our meeting to ask questions, and so you can just blurt those questions out, or you can type them in the chat function, and I probably won't look at that until that end Q&A time. But actually, no, I'll look at it throughout. But so there are two different ways to ask questions. But my main hope is you've done some research on the Fulbright. You've heard us talk about the Fulbright on our side, but there's so much information that's out there with the Fulbright. There's a lot to it, and so my main hope is that you just accumulate more understanding of the Fulbright and which Fulbright you might want to pursue. And so some of this might be some repetition, but repetition is our friend. It helps us. I don't know about you, but I forget about things all the time. So here's something a second or third time is helpful. But I also hopefully will give you some new info, and this just gives you the space to ask some really specific questions, because as you saw in our the Fulbright info session on March 4th, it just depends on whatever the answer to your question about a specific aspect of the Fulbright is the answer is always it depends, because each award has and to each country has a little bit of a different wrinkle, and so this gives you some space to ask those particular questions. Okay, let's jump into things here. I'm gonna go straight away. I'm gonna share my screen here. I like being able to have visual aids here. So, okay, let's actually go to full screen mode. All right. So first thing, I just wanted to really quickly go to, actually, sorry, before we talk about eligibility, I don't know how much time you've spent on the Fulbright site. I'm on the Fulbright site all the time. And something that you may have noticed is that they have a new website. This was, I think it was midweek last week, something like that. They have a new look here, which is really great. It's mostly the same information. They've moved a few things here and there. For instance, the statistics used to be up in this top right corner, and now they're down here. But it's the same thing. I can't think of yeah, there are a few other kind of things that moved around, but that's nothing I really need to highlight. But just to point that out, I really like this one. This is, I wonder where this is. I haven't clicked on it yet, but anyway, let's not get distracted. So the eligibility requirements that I wanted to note are that you must be a U.S. citizen to apply for the award, and this is because the Fulbright is funded by the Department of State, and so this is just one of those requirements. Fulbright brings in lots and lots, a lot more students from other countries than they send out from the US, in fact, but this is the US student program that's sending students, US students out. So that's just an important thing to note. If you're a dual citizen, there are some countries here, and I just went to this ineligibility sort of section here. There are some countries that if you're a dual citizen of that country, you can't apply to that country. So if you're a US Denmark, a US Danish citizen, a dual citizen, then you can't apply to an award in Denmark, but you could in Colombia, for instance, if you were a US citizen. That's the, let's see, I think that's the only other thing I'm going to mention there. Yep, that's all I'm going to mention about eligibility. Well, no, I lied. So if you are applying for the next cycle, which is the 2022-2023 cycle, that might be confusing, but that's the year that you would go out on the award. So you wouldn't start working on that award until you start working on it now. Wouldn't apply for it until October 1st. That's our Baylor deadline. But it's the following year that you would go out. So in order to be eligible for that award, you would need to have a bachelor's degree by your grant period. So that's something to note too. Okay. A little bit about actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Okay. A little bit about the sort of eligibility, not eligibility, a little bit about sort of definition of the study research award and the ETA. So the study research award, these are descriptive titles here. So study research award allows you to do one of two things. It allows you to do some sort of study, and that's going on a degree granting program. The overwhelming majority of grants fund a 9 to 10 month sort of program, and so it's a 1-year master's program that typically that you would pursue. It also there are a few other options. There are a couple countries that offer PhD programs, but yeah, that's pretty rare. So typically it's a 1-year funded master's. There are a few 2-year master's programs that are funded, or at least when you win a grant, you get 1 year of funding and you're eligible to apply for a 2nd year. Those also are rare, but they're out there. That's the sort of quick definition of the study award. The research award, it allows you to, it's non-degree granting and allows you to go out on a research program over 9 to 10 months. And so you would connect with likely someone from a university, but it could be an institute independent from a university. And you would go out and conduct research with this lab or this researcher. And this is as a part of your application, though, you would put forward a really detailed research plan. We typically advise students not to apply for the research award and to apply for that study and aim if they're applying for the study research award, and here's why. For the research award, really for both awards, you're applying, competing against, or can be competing against, people that have already graduated and gone on and done other things, worked beyond undergraduate, or that are master's students and PhD students. And so they just have the time and the space to have developed a much more robust research sort of career already to that point. So applying for the research award as a graduating undergraduate, then it's sort of a steep hill to climb. So it's not impossible, and you know, some students do choose to apply for the research award, and we have a finalist this year for a research award, which is wonderful. And so fingers crossed, hopefully we have a winner. But we've never had a Baylor student win a research undergraduate Baylor student win a research award. We've had lots of undergraduate students win study awards, and even more win ETAs. And so that's why, as Fulbright program advisors, Dr. Hogue and I typically advise toward the study award or the ETA. Okay, that's my sort of quick definition of the study research award. I'm going to define the ETA here, and even though I know this is a study research award panel here, but or info session, but I think it's helpful to talk about the ETA, because as I noted earlier, most folks, when they think of the Fulbright, they think of the study research award, and they don't know that the ETA exists. But it really can help you achieve your, or it helps lots of people achieve their sort of Fulbright goals. Now, if the only thing you want to do is go and do a master's degree that's funded, well, then the ETA is not going to help you there. And so in that case, the study award does make more sense. But if you are wanting to get that Fulbright experience, and what I mean by that Fulbright experience is at the heart of any Fulbright award is this cultural exchange experience. I noted that the Fulbright is funded by the Department of State, and it is therefore this sort of kind of soft diplomacy that the Department of State is funding. And so what that means is it's this aim to pursue cultural exchange where and mutual understanding between the U.S. and these many countries around the world. And so the main aim of any Fulbright award is for those going out on grants to offer their sort of slice of U.S. American culture, and then to be receptive to the host country culture. And so it's that those endeavors are an important part of the Fulbright in that specific year, but that goes beyond that, of course, too, because they then Fulbright wants you to bring back your experiences to the US and share about throughout your life about your experience in that host country. And so it's meant to be this sort of goodwill, promotion of mutual understanding in the world. And a lifelong one at that. The English Teaching Assistant Award allows that in some really cool ways through language and essentially through language instruction, and teaching, I should say, as well. And those are skills that are sort of universal. That kind of communication via language, teaching English, and through teaching are something you'd use in any career that you go to, in any walk of life. And so, most students think, I'm not really interested in teaching, so I don't want to do an ETA. But an overwhelming majority of our ETA applicants aren't education majors or English majors. They are wanting to go on and do something else, but they're interested in this cultural exchange experience that Fulbright offers. And so that's why I want to give that definition of the ETA, even here in this Study Research Award info session, just to reiterate how the ETA can meet lots of your goals. The example that you may have heard me say before, we had a winner 2 years ago. His name's Clay. He's now studying, he's in a master's degree, pursuing some sort of foreign affairs, international studies kind of career trajectory. And he wasn't interested in teaching as a career, but was interested in the Fulbright. Applied to graduate school, got in, got a half ride, applied for an ETA to Germany, won it, went out on the award, came back, applied for the same program, and got in and got a full ride. And so that that gave this sort of immediate, tangible. It opened this door for this further funding for him. So that's, I think, an instructive story. It will open doors for you. It will change your life in the midst of that year, but it will open doors for you immediately, but also throughout your career as you're applying to jobs and other sorts of things. And the ETA, just to put some numbers to this, these are kind of not scientific fact, sort of number crunching here, but I just sort of anecdotally looking at the numbers, the study research award, the floor is typically under 1% of acceptance rate for applicants, and the ceiling is typically around 10. There are study research awards that have larger acceptance rates, but the ETA has, the floor is typically around about 10%, and often there are awards that are 20 or 30%, and some awards are like the Malaysia ETA, something like 55%. And these numbers fluctuate throughout the years. There are sometimes countries have more or less awards, and sometimes there are more or less applicants. But I think that's still instructive. For all those reasons, I think the ETA is a great award. And so I just want to give that sort of clarification for those that might think, oh, that actually that'd be great. I'd love to pursue something like that. Actually, one other thing that I forgot to mention, the cool thing about the ETA is that it opens up the world to you. There are some language restrictions in the Spanish-speaking world. So any award in a Spanish-speaking country, you have to be at least an intermediate Spanish level. But and there are some other language restrictions elsewhere. But for the most part, you can go anywhere. And for instance, Malaysia, you don't have to know Malay to do a Malaysia ETA. And so that it kind of opens the door to more possibilities, more different countries. Typically, students that do a study research award have to apply to an English-speaking country so that they can do their master's degree in English, and that just limits the scope. So the UK is the #1 place that students end up applying. And we've had a lot of Baylor students win awards to the UK. It's also the most competitive country. So there is that. It's because they have a great university system and everybody wants to go there. But there's also Canada and Australia and South Africa. And we have a student out doing a master's degree in Israel right now. It's in English. And so there are other places that you can do those sorts of awards, but it just is a little bit more limiting than some of than say the ETA. Okay, so I've been talking a bit about the ETA, but also talking about some numbers, and the statistics are helpful to think through, but that is more of a secondary sort of thing to think about. So you may be thinking, all right, well, I know I'm interested in the Fulbright. I think I'm interested in these 2, 5, or 55 different countries, but I can't pick. It's hard to pick which one, or I can't even pick between which award. So how do I do that? I would not rely solely on the stats for that. That's just kind of a secondary thing. Maybe 2 main things I would think about, or I would advise all of you to think about if you're trying to figure out a country or region. I would start thinking about your interests, and so your career interests and where those might be situated, but also even beyond career interests, if if you have some interests that are different than your career, but that you've either spent a lot of time somewhere, or you've always loved a certain country or a certain language or something like that. Trying to figure out what your interest is and what you want to do with this award, that's going to be really, really important. And so try to write down, well, what am I interested in? What do I want to do? How do I want to use this award? That's going to help shape the country that you select and the award that you select too. I think that's going to be a helpful way to try to narrow this down, and then start looking at. I'll share my screen here again in a second, but start looking at the map on the Fulbright page, and then start looking at specific countries that you think you might be interested in that align with some of the interests that you're wanting to pursue. If for instance, if you know that you're interested in global health, and you know that Maastricht in the Netherlands has a really great, they have a really interesting healthcare system, or another country has a really, you want to know the Australian healthcare system or whatever that is, that's going to be a helpful way to kind of narrow down and think through the award that you might select to apply for. Sometimes you have to start bigger than that. If I'm interested in this region, sometimes you just focus on a region, and then you can start looking at countries within a region and realize, oh, I actually think these two countries, I wouldn't have guessed that at first, but these are the places that I really want to go. So those are some ways to think through kind of narrowing. Another way to narrow this down is to think about if you so once you narrow down a country, if you're applying for the UK award, for instance, I would then start looking through all the different universities, not all of them, there's a lot of them, but start looking through a number of the universities and think through, okay, I am really interested in I don't know, Durham and what else? What other? Newcastle, going northeastern UK. Start to look at some of the universities, and if your interest is in neuroscience and you want to do a neuroscience master's degree or something like that, and that once you start looking at those universities, oh, Durham's got an amazing neuroscience program. I have no idea. I'm just making this up. I do know they have a great theology program, and actually I did a master's in English at Durham, so they have a really good English department too. But you start researching the specific institutions that you would be connected with, and that's another way to start narrowing down. And it does, that takes a little bit of time, but that's why one reason why we're starting so early is so you're not rushed, and so you can have the time to do this research and to think through and ask questions about this. Ask me questions by all means. Let's see. I think that's all I've got to say about narrowing down different locations. I'm going to move on and talk about some resources and point out a few things that will be important, I think, to look at. But I realize I haven't asked if there are any questions. Are there any questions so far? Actually, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I was looking at the award for Japan for the study research, and it said that for like the requirements with language, when do we need to have those by? Because I'm going to be taking classes over the summer and my last semester in the fall before I graduate. So I was just wondering.
Great question. So you only need to have you need to meet the requirements that it states by the time you go out on your grant.
Okay.
Do you remember what it's?
It said intermediate level of Japanese required, and I'm taking my second year over the summer, and then trying to move into my third year next fall.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So you would be, second year would be intermediate, right? So you'd be moving.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
So here's what would happen in your case. So you would, as part of the application, you're going to fill out a self-evaluation, language evaluation. But there is also a language proficiency exam. So, and this is true for everyone. If you're applying to a country that either whether they require, recommend, or if it's not recommended, but you still have some language facility, even if it's at a beginning level, I would strongly suggest doing this foreign language proficiency exam. So you'll want to ask someone here at Baylor that you worked with in that language. If it's a language that you've learned elsewhere and Baylor doesn't offer, then that's a different situation. But for the languages that Baylor offers here, I would ask a trusted, the person who knows you best in the of our Japanese professors, and to fill out this foreign language proficiency exam. So wherever that ends up. So if that's intermediate level, great. If it is a little bit below that, then that's fine too, because in your application you could say, I'm still taking these classes, and so by next year I will be at such and such level. So I mean, ideally it'd be great if you're right at that level already, so there's no question about that when it goes to the committee. But that's completely the Fulbright is very clear in saying you just need to have that language acquisition by the time of the grant that you go out.
Okay, so but I'd have to take the test by October when the applications are due.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So that just demonstrates where you're at by the time of application. Which again, if it's below intermediate, that's fine. You're clear. You will clearly communicate in your essays, hey, I'm going to do more language study, and I'm going to get at this level.
Okay.
But you want to demonstrate I have this level already. Let's see. There was a question here, Christina. If you would please expand on the National Geographic Storytelling Fellowship. It is an add-on award, yes. So there is, I've discussed the two main awards, the Study Research Award and the ETA. Then there are other kind of, I guess you could call them supplemental awards, or I don't know what the exact phrasing would be, but the National Geographic Storytelling Award is one of those awards. So what you do with the National Geographic Storytelling Award, you apply for the study, you can only apply for the Study Research Award, actually. Let me verify that. I'm not 100% sure, sorry. Let's see. I'm working on two screens. I'm having some screen issues here. Let's see, I'm trying to bear with me for 1 second. Okay. Actually, no. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Here we go, success. So the National Geographic Award. Where is this? Let's see. They have, this might be the one of the things that they moved around on their website. Types of awards, yeah, here we go. I'm just double checking, it is the Study Research Award, great. So, okay, so the National Geographic Storytelling Award is an award that, so you would apply for the Study Research Award just on its own. If you're interested in the National Geographic Award, that's great, but you apply for the Study Research Award, and then in addition to that, you apply for the National Geographic Storytelling Award. So you can win both awards, and you can win the Study Research Award, but not the National Geographic Storytelling Award, but you can't win the National Geographic Storytelling Award on its own. So it is a supplemental sort of thing. There's there's some other supplemental awards, the CLIA, which is the something language enhancement award, the critical language enhancement award that is available for a few of the awards, but for a few of the countries, but it's not available for, it's a smaller number. I know for Russian, it's often available. For Arabic, those are the only ones that I remember. And so, yeah, Christina, does that answer your questions about the National Geographic Storytelling Award? Or do you have a follow-up question maybe?
I was gonna ask if, should you be granted an add-on award, how does it affect your main award, like the study research part? Like, would they overlap, or would one replace the other, or would they just go hand in hand? I guess is the question. How does it affect the main award you apply for?
Yeah, that's a good question. They do, I mean, they would go hand in hand. They would, you would need to design your application for the National Geographic Storytelling Award with that study research award in mind. So yes, they do go hand in hand. Yeah, you wouldn't want them to be entirely different kind of focus. I think I would need to read through the National Geographic Storytelling little section once again. It's been 6 months since I've read through it, and I think it allows some outside work, but they do need to be certainly connected. But I would need to double check that to make sure. Is that helpful? Yeah, great. Any other questions before we move on? Fantastic. Let's so let me share my screen again. Okay, so let's see. I just want to show a few resources that are very helpful. So some basic ones that you may have heard me talk about, but again, repetition is our friend. So under this About section on the Fulbright US Student Program page, go into videos, tutorials, and then clicking on the tutorials link. They've got some really helpful things. You've been to our overview session, which was on March 4th. So you've got the video of that on our Baylor Fulbright site, but here's a shorter overview of that should you desire such things. Here, the second tutorial is the Study Research Award tutorial. So this covers a lot of the information that I've talked about here, and so, this information is on the website, but this video is really helpful. There is also an arts-focused Study Research Award that's a little bit different. So if that is you, then you would want to check out this arts focus. It involves including some supplemental material. So if you're applying for an award that's where you would have a portfolio of visual art or something like that, then that just gives a little bit more information about that. And then there's also an ETA tutorial as well. Let's see. I'm going to come back to no, I'm not going to. Let's just clicking on this countries link here. This is the map that I was talking about earlier. If you're trying to think through, where do I want to go? Finding different countries within each region. So maybe focusing on a region, or maybe you already know that you're interested in East Asia Pacific region. Then you can look through all of these different individual pages here. So a couple of things that you'll want to continue to focus on will be the country award pages. So what does that mean? So let's click on Australia here. So you see that Australia they have 6 open study research awards. That means that you can apply to do a study or a research award anywhere in the country. As with anything with Fulbright, it depends. I'll click on this link in a second and I'll explain what I mean by that. There are also 2 other, these are both study awards. And so this is the Fulbright and Wexler Master's Award in Public Policy. So this looks like, I don't know, it's named after a person, Ann Wexler. And I imagine it's to a specific university, or maybe it's not, I don't know. So she was important in fostering Australian-American relations. Let's see, it looks like you don't, okay, so it's not for a specific university. Fantastic. but it is, as we can see, focused on, it's focused on public policy. Then we have this award, the Western Sydney University Award in the Arts, Environment, and Public Health. So this has a dual focus. It's at a specific university, and it's focuses on these specific sort of larger disciplines. So arts, environment, and public health, those are pretty large sort of focuses. So what we would do is we could, if we want to find more about this, then we figure out, okay, so what's, what is their, a thing you want to focus on would be, let's see, they don't have a candidate profile. Well, that's what I was going to show you. There's an award profile that just defines what this award is. So it's, doesn't say anything more specific about these disciplines. Great, good. Well, let's use a different example. So there's the final study research award here is this Fulbright Future Scholarship. There are 10 of them, which is great. And this is one of the awards that is actually a longer grant period. Let's look at, let's see. So you see this one's 10 months. That's pretty standard. But this award, you can, it's pretty flexible. It's one of those rare awards that isn't just funding 1 year, and it will fund a master's degree up to 2 years. Great. Let's see. Oh, these are postgraduate students. Oh yeah, that's sorry. That would be you. You can do any number of these things, but you can possibly undertake a full PhD up to 5 years. The way that I read this is that those 2 years are guaranteed and that you can apply for more. We could figure that out more if you wanted to. Talk to the Fulbright folks. So let's see. A couple things I want to, I'll have to go, apparently, so Australia, the Australian Commission designs this country page. So we're gonna have to look at a different example to talk about a few of the things that I wanted to talk about, but that's fine. Something to note though, is that you wanna make sure when you're looking at these country pages, what are the accepted degree levels? You'll want this to say a bachelor's degree. So if it just says master's or doctoral, I'll show you an example where it doesn't. Then that means you're not eligible to apply for it. You have to have a master's or be at a master's or doctoral level to apply for the award. You're at a bachelor's level. So there you go. Focusing on this grant period is a helpful thing too, because there are a few that are different. And then these country pages give the sort of really important basic information, but also any kind of wrinkle that's nuanced with this award. You'll find it in this section, whether it's the award profile, the grant period section. And this is where this is a definite wrinkle. It's different than most other awards. Oh yeah, here it is, the candidate profile. This is going to be really helpful for you. So this just says, hey, this is open to these applicants. This is what we look for in a candidate. And so you can see all the different folks that would be open to the profile. So to see if you're eligible, but also you can see who you're applying against here. And this is, this is something to note. You might be applying against PhD students and master's students as well. So that's of note. Let's see, other things. The foreign language proficiency, this is where you would find this. This Fulbright proposal types is helpful too. I'll try to find an example for you here, but this can be confusing. So some awards only offer a research component. Some awards only offer a study component. Some offer both. So even though, let's ignore this word study. This means you can do some sort of degree granting research, if it says yes here. If you want to do a master's degree in some degree granting sort of program, it needs to say yes here. So in a second here, I'll find another example that will help us with this, but I want to go through a few other things. So you will need, I'm not going to say a whole lot about the letter of affiliation yet, but for a study research award, you do need to have a letter of affiliation. And what that is basically soon you'll need to, in the next month or two or something like that, you'll need to, and the next month, next couple weeks, you'll need to start, once you know where the institution you're interested in, you'll need to start reaching out to some folks there in the program you're interested in, and you'll just start asking them research questions and saying, hey, I'd love to apply to this program. Can you answer this question? And so you want to make a connection with someone and start, and you don't want to ask 45 questions at first, just ask one question. And then you can ask a couple questions over a series of emails, and maybe even you'll have a Zoom chat. We've had a number of students that have been able to have a Zoom chat with these sort of these people they're connecting with. And we recommend reaching out to a handful, 2, 3, 4 folks, because most study research awards require one letter of affiliation, but sometimes it's not required but recommended, but you want to have one. And so typically it's only one that's required. If you get 2 or 3, that's awesome, because then you're conveying to the committee, hey, this institution really wants this person. They have 2 letters of affiliation or 3. And so that's a really helpful thing. We're going to coach you through that. So if you feel undue anxiety about that, don't feel that. We're going to help you out here. This future awards is a little bit different because you have the option of applying to 1 to 3 institutions, which is a bit odd. Makes sense for me to apply to 1, but there you go. Let's see. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, that's not all I'm going to say. There are special application instructions to pay attention to. So the Fulbright Future Scholarship wants to have, you need to have a section in your statement of grant purpose where you're talking about impact as they define it here. This is not on most country pages. So, but you do want to look out for that. Okay, let's find an example where, let's see, I know, this will also be helpful to just show you a number of things. So you've probably already seen the UK page if you're interested in the UK awards. You see that there's not just a one or a few. Actually, here, let me just take one big old step back. Let's see, does Albania have? Okay, they do. So you see, they just have an open study research award. That means that everybody that wants to go do a study research award in Albania is all funneled into one. They're all considered together. With Australia, you saw there are a couple of different awards. So you're not competing against everyone. You're competing against everyone that's applying for an Australia Future Award. UK is really unique because they have, I have never counted, but I don't know, 50, 40, whatever. They have a bunch of different awards. And so you're only applying to, if you are applying to Cardiff University, you're only competing against those that are applying to Cardiff University. A couple things to note about these UK awards. They do have an open award. I would just say in as strong terms as I can, I would advise you not to apply for this award. Why? Well, last year they had 147 applicants and they've got 1 award. That year they might have actually had 2, but they recently reduced it down to 1. These are probably the worst odds of any Fulbright. I would not apply for this. It's they don't have an Oxford or Cambridge award, and so I think a lot of people that want to apply for Oxford or Cambridge, they end up doing that, and somebody's got to win it, so that's cool. But if you're at like 0.5% of the acceptance rate, then that's a tough one. And the UK awards are already tough enough. Another award I just wouldn't apply for is the London School of Economics Political Science Award. It's a wonderful award. It's fantastic, but the odds are horrible. I'll show you, we'll look at the stats here in a second. And I should say, I know earlier I said the stats are secondary. With the UK awards, they really need to be primary because that's a unique thing because they're so competitive. I think it's really helpful to be aware of those for the UK awards, definitely. Okay, what example was I going to show you? St. Andrews, where is St. Andrews? I don't know if it's listed as the University of St. Andrews or just St. Andrews. Huh, you know what? I don't think they have this award this year.
It's down a little bit.
It's
the
down,
artsy,
I missed it. There
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was at Durham, I had a buddy who was doing a PhD at St. Andrews, and I've been there. It's a cool place. It's a great university. The third in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, that was created. Durham, I believe, again, if I'm not mistaken, is the fourth, but there you go. This is, oh, hey, they changed this. Okay, great. This is actually a good thing. So previously, well, sorry, let me take a step back. They didn't change it. I take it all back. So I thought that they added this bachelor's level. So they do, here's the thing. They accept bachelor's degrees. Great. Except in the UK, this award is only for a PhD. And in the UK, generally speaking, as far as I know, you need to have a master's degree to do a PhD in the UK. That was my experience as I pursued a PhD in the UK. I applied to a couple of different programs and was thinking of doing one at Durham. And it's because their PhDs are 3 years typically, and it's all research, no coursework. Whereas in the US, the sort of average time, I don't know if it's average, but it should take 5 years to do a PhD in the US. And that includes coursework and then research. So with that master's degree, you already have that coursework, and then you're going to do research. So this is one award that it's helpful to read through this country page to realize, oh, okay, this is actually a PhD. So there you are. Let's see, there's another UK example I wanted to show you. And I don't remember which one it was. I do, let me actually show you actually, let me scroll down here just to see if there's anything else I'm missing. Nope, nothing else. If anyone's interested in infectious diseases, there's a really cool UK award that is not, it doesn't seem like you would be studying infectious diseases, but let me know if that's you, then come talk to me or send me an email or something like this, and there's a really cool award that we have a finalist for right now. We have a previous winner 2 years ago, and it's awesome. So there you go. Let's see. Let me point out one other thing. So if let's look at the Western Hemisphere. And so there are a number of, in Central America, there are a number of awards. I'm forgetting which is which. I think, yeah, here we go. So Costa Rica, they have an Open Study Research Award. And you see under this proposal type, so this is to do some sort of research, but you cannot go and pursue a degree granting program. So that means that's really just a research award, not a study research award. So that's something to note. And you can see here's their foreign language requirements. Okay. I'm not gonna say a whole lot about the application components other than to say, I suggest checking them out, because you can start thinking through, okay, what do the 2 essays look like? Here's the statement of grant purpose. For a study research award, it's 2 pages, single spaced, whereas with a ETA, it's only 1 page. But you can see they give you a lot of information here. Yeah, so I would start looking at that. They talk about the letter of affiliation. The personal statement is the other essay, so they give you less information, but more, but still some. Essentially, the statement of grant purpose is you saying, here's where I want to go, in a very specific way, and here in a very, well, this is all in a very specific way, but here's where I want to go, and here's what I want to do on this award. And, you know, I want to work with this professor and this professor. I want to take these classes. I want to do this specific research. I want to do this with my dissertation, which is what they call a thesis in the UK. And then you would state, well, this is why I am positioned to do this. I've done this work, this research, blah, 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 these specific things. And then you also want to talk a bit about that cultural exchange piece and what you're interested in about the UK or Netherlands or Australia or wherever. And to be not just in general about Australia, but to say, I love Sydney, or I am excited about going to Sydney, and here are some specific things that I want to go do while I'm there. And I'm excited about volunteering at this place. And, you know, you want to be really specific. And that's another reason why we start so early with this award, with Fulbright, is that these 2 essays seem really simple, 2 pages for the study research, or 1 page for the ETA, and then 1 page for the personal statement for both. But you've got to say a lot in a short period of time. And so it takes a lot of time to shape those. Another kind of initial thing to think through would be recommendations and who might be your 3 recommenders. So for a study research award, you really want to have 3 academic recommendations, because if you're proposing to go do a master's degree, who is going to best speak to that but your professors? And so that's, yeah, I would suggest doing that. And we're going to start talking about that right away once you officially decide to do the Fulbright. Let's see, but you can look at this some more on your own. Another thing to note is that we will have a Canvas, or we do have a Canvas page that it's this huge repository of resources for you. So once you tell us by the 31st, March 31st, that you're going to apply for the Fulbright, and tell us which award and country you're planning on applying for, we'll then enter your name into our Canvas page, and we've got essays from previous winners that you can, from just an overwhelming amount of essays, too many to even look at, but you'll be able to look at examples of essays from winners. We will have guidance on the letter of affiliation and on recommendations in foreign language proficiency exams, etc. So that's a kind of Baylor specific repository for some resources. Let me also just point you over to our Office of Engaged Learning website. This is where our office is located. And then for our Fulbright page, let's go here and then here. So y'all have been here, y'all have seen this. I don't need to say a whole lot about this, but you know, we've got some videos of previous winners. They're great. Here's Clay. He's the guy that I was talking about earlier that went on the Germany ETA. And here's Kyle. I was mentioning him too. He's out on the Israel Study Research Award right now in Tel Aviv. So we've got our timeline here. You guys have seen this. So March 31st, I mentioned earlier. We really would like you to know what country and what award you're applying for then. It's okay if it changes after that. We don't want to sort of pressure you unnecessarily to know before you should, but we want you to start on the application in April. And so in order to do that, you just need to know the direction you're going. But know that we want what's best for you, and that may change, and that's perfectly fine. And maybe you'll need more time to talk with us about award possibilities, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, there you go. I'm gonna, I want to give some more time for questions, and we're running out of time here. So I won't mention more about the timeline here. You can see this. This is also where for upcoming workshops and info sessions. This is where I have and will post the recordings, and this is where our Zoom links will be. We've got some good upcoming sessions in April, like how to strengthen your candidacy, some essay writing workshops, etc. Most Mondays, except for Mondays like today when we have this sort of meeting, we will I have office hours from 4 to 5 on Mondays, so you're welcome to come in and join me and ask some questions there. But let's stop things here, stop sharing at least. And I just want to open it up for maybe a few minutes of questions here. Any further questions?
So I have another question. I have a lot of questions, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Korea and Japan because those are the two languages that I've actually studied at Baylor.
Sure.
And I'll have 2 years of each language by the time that either grant would start. But one of them is, I think there's only 6 available for the graduating seniors for the study research award for Japan,
Yeah.
whereas I think it's 60 for the ETA for Korea.
Yeah.
Should we, in that case, like, should we be basing our choices off of statistics? Because I mean, I feel like I would enjoy and learn more kind of in Japan than I would in Korea, but language wise, I guess Korea would be better for that. So how exactly should we choose
Yeah.
between?
That's a great question, and it's probably going to be different for different people. I would think through. First thing I'd think through is, how is this going to help me do the things I want to do? How is this going to help me in my next steps after Baylor in my career? That's I think the most important thing. And also thinking through, this is not an insubstantial thing. I mean, thinking through, what would you're going to spend a year there, what would I enjoy more? I think that's a helpful thing to think through. Not the only thing, but that's maybe an important part. If at that point you still feel like, oh man, I don't know which I think both would be really good for my career. In that case, I would say South Korea. I mean, and an ETA, if that's what you're talking about, because there are a lot of ETAs available. So, you know, that's if all things are equal or close to being equal, then that seems like a sort of a slam dunk to me. But if you really don't want to do an ETA and you want to go do some sort of study, I don't know if you'd be studying Korean or if you'd be studying Japanese, or what you would be doing. Because I'm guessing you wouldn't be able to study something else in that language, right? Another discipline. That would strike me as, my advice would be, yeah, go for the ETA.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have a follow-up question or thought?
No, I think I'm just gonna go through and kind of like what you said, write down the different like pros and cons of each one. So
sure. Yeah, because you would be able to, on an ETA in South Korea, you'd be able to do some language study, but it wouldn't be, I don't know, what would you be studying in South Korea or Japan?
So Korea has a master's program in Korean studies, but I don't think that the Korean program here has prepared me to be at a level to do that.
Okay.
So that's why I was thinking about doing the ETA if I went there. Well,
Yeah.
in Japan, they do Japanese studies, and then also education. You can focus on that, studying that there. And so I thought that might be better. Because I thought about doing a different teaching program later on, actually with either Japan or Korea with their own separate government funded programs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but using this as a chance to do like some kind of pre-grad school work. So I'm trying to figure out, would that probably be better for that, or would the teaching assistantship be better?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Well, yeah, and trying to figure that out, I think is going to be that's kind of the next step work for you. I think you're right. As you were talking, I was realizing that I know earlier I said, well, you probably would only be able to do a language study program, but that's actually not necessarily true. If there is a Korean studies program, and I was just looking up the South Korea awards, they have 2 different study research awards. If I don't know which one has the Korean studies program, or maybe both do, but it was a required novice level. And so that may mean that the program's in English. So if that's the case, then that could be a possibility too. At that point, I would think about the stats and say, all right, if it's like 10% versus 30% or something like that, that's when the stats become instructive. And I would think, oh, well, the 30% sounds good. But if it's like 10% and 15%, that's close enough where it's, it's not a huge deal. And just choosing to go where you want to go is probably the best bet. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know it's 5:02, but I still want to just open things up to further questions here and see what else there are other questions.
I have a question, Dr. Benyuski.
Olivia, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well.
I was wondering, is there a way to go and apply and get the ETA and then on your own time become a German university student and kind of like don't do it through Fulbright, but enroll like in a public university?
That is a good question. I'm gonna go to the Germany page here because I don't know the answer. I'm gonna see. I just want to see if they say like you cannot do this. They don't say that, and I don't see why you can't. Oh, sorry, I'm actually. Let's see. I'm on the ETA page. With the Germany ETA, this might actually be possible because typically you have you're only doing about 9 or 10 hours worth of work as a classwork as an ETA. I'm just doing a really quick run through here. I don't see anything saying you can't do that, but we might, yeah. We might want to, let's see. Oh, here we go, special opportunities. During the grant period, university enrollment as a visiting student may be possible, subject to decision by the university, proximity. However, Fulbright Germany will not be able to cover any tuition. Okay. I'm gonna take that as yes, you can do that. To be honest, the best bet is to just ask Fulbright, and we can ask the regional European regional director about that. But it looks like you could.
Okay, and then follow-up question. I was looking under the study awards one, and it said the same thing about how Fulbright doesn't cover tuition fees if you're getting your master's. Is that true?
If it says it is, yes.
Okay, I don't know if I just misunderstood it or.
So I don't know this specifically for Germany, but I do know for other countries like the Netherlands, this is similar. However, so we've had someone who won a Maastricht award, so Maastricht in the Netherlands, and they went and did a master's degree. Tuition is not covered, but in the Netherlands, tuition is very minimal, and so they were able to use their stipend to pay for the tuition and still have. I mean, they had to budget smartly, but they still had plenty of money to go travel and do anything that they would want to do. I don't know if that's the case for Germany. I would have to check into it here. I would hope that it would be, but I don't know. That's a good question. We could do some more digging into that though. Do you know where on the country page it says this?
It was like towards the bottom under like
affiliation fees and tuition. Yeah. Okay, so at least in Baden-Württemberg, there are tuition fees of 1,500 euros per academic semester. So that's it seems like that's higher than other places. seems like that's not there for other places. That's just an assumption or speculation, and we would want to check into that. What that means to me is it indicates to me that you would have in that, if you applied in that state to university in that state, then you would have those fees, which that's still, think about tuition fees in the US. That's a lot lower, 1,500 per semester. Euros still, I don't know what the exchange rate is, but that's less than at a US institution. That leads me to believe that in other states, universities in other states, you would have a lower tuition fee. So we would need to do some legwork into that. And I would either, there are a couple of things, I would even actually just suggest there's a contact link at the bottom of the Fulbright page. I would just go to, let's see here, there's a Europe and Eurasia email address and a phone number. I just call that. There's a point of contact, Ashley Lynch. I would call Ashley and just say, hey, here's my question. What usually happens here? So that's what I would suggest doing. Other questions?
I just came across something that I was wondering about. At least for some of the countries, it seems to say that you're ineligible if you're living in the country from 2020 to 2021, and I'm assuming that's for the next application period. So do you know about that? Like why and how those restrictions are enforced? You're not allowed to be in country the year you're applying?
Yes. So we would. Are you seeing that on the specific country page or on the eligibility section?
In the specific country page. I don't know if it
Okay.
applies to all countries or not.
Okay. I would need to look at that specific country page to give you a clearer answer. But if you're one, I'm guessing you're wondering what if I go out on a study abroad award or something like that. That you're fine. That under the sort of overarching eligibility requirements, Fulbright states that you can't, well, they might have taken this off. I can't remember what they did this last year, but at least they used to say you can't have lived in the country that you're applying to, I think it was, for more than 6 months within the last 5 years outside of study abroad opportunities. So yeah, they're not going to penalize you for studying abroad.
Okay.
I would want to look at that specific country page because there are all these unique wrinkles. And so, if you let me know what that country page is and I can check it out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you can just, email me, tell me here, whatever you want, put it in the chat message function, whatever. That's, I can give you a better idea. And hi, Ann, how's it going? Good to see you.
Good.
It's good to see a number of you. We've chatted over the years. So, any other questions before we end here? I know we're going over here, but I'm happy to continue for those that are still have questions. No, all right. We're the bold few that have remained here. Well, let me just thank you for attending today's session. I'm going to post a recording of it, so if you need to consult it again, and do know that if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But I'm just really excited about your interest in the Fulbright and look forward to working with y'all in the coming days and weeks ahead. See you later.